Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome back. Cheers. Here we are in Arizona.
I'm just trying to stay hydrated. Last we left off was week 10 in the snowy, cold tundra of the north, or what we call home.
Yeah, so obviously we had a little bit of a break in format.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to unpack there, and I think that's what we're gonna use this time for, is to kind of catch up from week 10 to week 20.
Yeah, we missed 10 weeks of filming our training. Not that we didn't film or capture our training, we just didn't put energy into it, because after week 10, and if you watch the last episode, we both kind of had some ankle pains and aches, and they really just kind of progressed from there. So we really wanted to take some space and time to really focus on what our bodies needed and what we needed to do to like salvage this training period, which sure, maybe that could have been good content, but like just we were spiraling. No, not you. I was spiraling. On the beginning of week 11, I also had food poisoning, and then towards the end of week 11, we developed COVID. So that took us out for quite a chunk, and no one wants to hear and sit with like people that are sick and complaining, and that's just not fun. We saved you from that.
Yeah, we were still trying to do the best we could with training and staying in a good mindset and that sort of thing. But yeah, when you get hit with these injuries, so I was going in to get x-rays. Jen has been nursing an ankle injury the whole time, and both of them got kind of expedited by running on the snow and ice. And then just as soon as those hit like peak worst condition, actually injured, the COVID hit us. And then we were just out in Wisconsin in our cabin, sick as dogs, and trying to figure out what to do next.
And it was probably saving grace to get sick during the time of trying to recover, because it really told us, like, you cannot run right now. And I was like, you're right. I cannot run, body. So I will listen to you, and I will take a 0 week. And from then, Bryce just was not getting better. Your foot just kept swelling and had some bruising in it.
Yep.
And mine was just still very touchy. I'm pretty sure I have like peroneal tendonitis in my foot, and then an impingement in the front. And then I was almost developing Achilles tendonitis, but I think I saved myself from that because we dived deep into rehab. Thank you to our friend Morgan
Yes.
from Blaze Physio.
Thank you. Yeah, she sent us basically an app that we could work from, and we would just go through and we're just grinding that. And I remember still, COVID took me about 4 weeks to get over this time. I don't know what's going on with it. Each year for me, it's gotten harder to recover from. This time was really bad. I remember having COVID, the ankle injury, and then, yeah, just trying to grind PT as much as we can at home. And yeah, mine really didn't get better for several weeks. So I took a bunch of 0 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and I also took time to just run on treadmills for kind of coming back into running, because I couldn't obviously just pick up the volume that we left off with. And it was helpful, but I don't know. It was I still needed a lot of work, because I was having a lot of just pains, and my tendonitis would kind of flare up. It's still kind of doing that to today. It has like kind of peaks and valleys with it. So you have to be really careful of like how you're loading it, how often you're loading it. You can't go too less and you can't go too much. And so, yeah. So we're here, week 20.
Tendonitis is finicky.
Yes, it really is. And I got over it in my knee, and then apparently wanted to move to my ankle. So we're just going. Then about week 14, I actually started to run back outside and give it a try and do very slow, easy miles to just get my body going again. And they did seem to go well, but it was still very concerning because I was still having like pain, and it's hard to know like, okay, is this pain okay to keep pushing, or is this gonna set me back? And thanks to Morgan, she did give me a good insight of like, okay, if the next 24 hours isn't as painful as the last 24 hours, then you're making progress. But if
Right.
it is more painful, then yeah, you went too hard. So that's been the game we've been playing. And then from like week 14 to now, we've been just kind of traveling. And so we had a lot of family time. We went to our lovely state of Nebraska in Omaha, but we did not have Coach Glenn to run with us.
Yeah, it was a shame.
Yeah, I did do a 10-mile run there as my longest run coming back from the 0 weeks and stuff, and it did seem to be okay, but it was still definitely tender, stiff the next day, so I just really had to take it easy. And then from there we made our way to Colorado, and we decided to do what?
Oh, hike the Manitou Incline again. If you've watched any of our old videos, we love the incline. I don't think it was a great choice, still being somewhat sick with COVID and having, for at least for me, done basically no cardio besides like biking. I was trying to put in miles walking and biking, just so that I could keep my, like, even if I'm not making any progress, but I'm staying similar cardio wise to where I left off, which was like, you know, we hit the highest miles that I've ever hit my whole life. It was over 50 miles of running in a week. So that felt awesome. I was just trying to keep the momentum through the sickness. And yeah, the Manitou Incline was where, at least for me, the first time in a few weeks where I'm like, okay, let's try something hard. And we went from basically Nebraska, almost sea level, to high elevation, doing the incline, and Jen crushed it. She got a new PB.
Yes.
So congrats.
Got within 38 minutes, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know you're thinking, like, God, why are you doing this to yourself? Just like ease into it and take it. But actually, I have to say, I felt way better after doing the incline because it was so much like calf work and strengthening. And like, I mean, you're going up less than a mile with 2,000 feet of vertical.
Yeah.
And
it's like a 70% grade incline. So think like a stair mill on whatever setting speed you want, but big, like you're skipping steps, big steps.
yeah.
And you're at a high elevation, so like someone's smothering you with a blanket or something.
But to me, it felt more like a strength workout
It did,
than like an endurance challenge, because it was more of like a hit type of thing, and you're hauling your body a lot of stairs.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me.
I think it was pretty memorable because we're training for an ultra. It's all about running, and we've been dedicated to running. And right when we were starting this, we're like, we're not even sure where we're going to be at if we can finish the incline. I don't know how we're feeling. And then the people in front of us just get ready, and then they start running up it. They're not even walking, they're just running up it. And I was like, okay, they're obviously on a much different level than we are.
So I was like, well, we could probably do it. If they're running it and we're just going casual, okay, we can do it. But so then from there, we made our way to Arizona. And from that point, we had hotels so we could be on the treadmill and use the gym to do our rehab and everything. And it seemed to be okay. Still fighting the flare-ups. But then I feel like once we got to Arizona, which was probably around week 16 maybe, I had notes for this, and then, you know, of course I didn't bring them with. So I'm just going off memory. Don't fact check us on Strava, you know. It's all wrong. But anyway.
For the 30 people that see our Strava occasionally.
They'll know.
Yeah.
They'll know. So we made our way here. We're back, baby! Yay!
The sign is even more crispy than before.
And we got onto the Black Canyon Trail. So this is actually where we're at. We're in a wash just below the Black Canyon Trail right now. And it has been just magical to be here. The weather has been awesome. The trail conditions have been great. And I got to pick up my mileage again because we just really kind of did a lot of like hiking, walking, and that hasn't really been the thing that hurts my ankle as much as like just straight running on it. So we did get one long run together on the trail. We did 15 miles, and that was our last time really doing a long run together.
The story there is I went to the doctor after all of the swelling and before we left home, And essentially my doctor said, okay, nothing with bones is broken, x-rays look fine, but we think that you have lateral tears in basically the tendon that stabilizes your foot from rotating outside. And I think I have like a weakness in my right foot when it comes to like stabilization. And so it makes a lot of sense that that's how I injured it, because that's the way I was feeling when we were running all those miles in the snow. And so he said, ideally 6 to 8 weeks in a boot, you don't move your ankle at all, it should be good.
And we had 6 to 8 weeks until our ultra, so
yeah, that wasn't going to happen. And so then I had the choice right there. Do I stop training and drop out, or do I kind of take Morgan's advice? Do I run on it a little bit strategically, try not to like do anything that would cause my ankle to roll like it was in training? And so we were picking a lot of like flat stuff, treadmills, biking, trying to, like I said, keep the cardio up. And I was just feeling the ankle out to see if it felt worse or better, you know, the same thing. And if I could keep it going where it's not getting more swollen or worse, I was going to attempt to run the ultra. And so eventually it got so bad where I think we did 6 miles and 2 of it were running and 4 of it was walking, and I got back and my ankle was just throbbing. So then at that point, I'm like, I got to drop out of the race, which for any of you that have entered ultras and put in all that effort and time, like I never thought in my life I would be running like 10 hours a week, that sort of thing. That the time commitment is just insane for these longer races. And I kind of gave it my all this time, and so it was pretty disheartening to come to the conclusion that I'm too injured to run the race. And so to bring this story full circle, I was supporting Jen, and I've been kind of taking it easy, doing more weightlifting, PT, and training. And now in the last week or so, I don't really have any soreness in that foot anymore. And it was very sore to the touch. It would like bring tears to my eyes if I would bump it on things. And so yesterday we made the decision that even though I've missed 2 months of training, that I'm still going to at least to try to run the first half of the race and then kind of feel it out from there. And I think if I start to get foot pain, if I roll my ankle, something happens at any point during the race, I'm just going to drop out. But it's worth giving it a try, and it just feels right.
I want to clarify that this is his choice.
It's my choice.
Making.
My doctor is not probably not on board with that choice.
And if you are running an ultra and you're trying to use this as advice, don't follow it.
Yeah.
We aren't like a guideline of how to do ultras. We're just people that are just trying to do ultras. We're not professional runners. We're not doctors.
Really?
Well, we could be professional runners, professionally slow runners.
Yeah, well, we've generated dollars from YouTube, so we're pros.
It's been a whirlwind with Bryce. I've had to do a lot of visualization of like finishing with a race with Bryce, not doing the race at all with Bryce. Okay, now maybe we'll just do the beginning of the race together. Maybe we might finish. It has just been a roller coaster, but I'm here for it. And as long as you are feeling good, then I'm all for it. But as soon as you're not, and that goes for me as well.
Yes.
Our bodies come first, and the race is not our top priority in that sense.
Right.
But I do want to rewind back to, so we did our long run together, and then our friend Caroline mentioned that they were doing their last preview race, and it was the last section of the trail, and I haven't seen that section. That'd be the only part of the trail I have never touched. I have a lot of social anxiety, so I was like, oh my God, and I'm gonna have to do this by myself because Bryce was really injured at the time.
Yep.
And so we woke up at 6 a.m. Shockingly, we got up at 6 a.m.
Wow, can you guys believe it?
For a training run, and Bryce dropped me off. Like, I felt like I was like a little kid getting dropped off at school, and then I just started. I started running, and we did, well, I keep saying we, because I'm so used to us running together. You did it too. You're always my spirit.
Okay, that's good. Well, that's, hopefully I can.
That's what a soulmate is. You're part of my soul
cardio.
Now. Yeah, so I was actually transferring cardio to you as I was doing it. It's like I was like on one of those power bikes, and it's like energy.
Okay.
We could do a whole bunch of analogies, but you get the picture. Okay, so I was powering up Bryce spiritually with my run through the desert of the last section of 25 miles, and holy crap, that section, I'm so glad I got to see it. That is the hardest part of the race by far. I feel so comfortable with the first 37 miles that I can visual everything on it, but that section is no joke. The elevation is no joke. The terrain is no joke. And so when I've read the guidelines for this race and they say, don't burn yourself out on the first half of the race because it is a net downhill, they are not kidding. If you're running this race, do not burn yourself out on the first half of the race, because I would have totally done that. But now that I've seen the back half, I'm like, yeah, I got to save everything I can and just be really conservative with myself, especially with my ankle right now. As you can see, I don't know if you can see that part of our body, but I'm wearing an ankle brace right now just to keep it stabilized and secure and not risk any rolling or anything, just even in my daily life of living. But I did accomplish it, and I actually thought I powered through it really good. I felt like my cardio was really good, and it gave me so much confidence where I was like, okay, I think I can do this. And I actually had that as my peak week, because added up with all the miles of running within that week, I did about maybe 25 to 30. No, it would have been more than 25 miles of running. Yeah. I think it was like 45 miles of running in that week, but then I did like 25 miles of just walking the dogs on the trail throughout the week. So I actually hit over, for mileage wise, around 70 miles.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that gave me confidence, and I didn't have really any pain after the 24-mile section either. So that gave me a lot of confidence. But then it was like the next week after that, I just was walking Cecil without the brace, and it was just kind of like she pulls a lot. So that kind of tweak something in there, so then it set me back again. So it was just like I've been having a lot of like great gains and then immediate setbacks and then great gains, and so it's just been such a mental work of like trying to just understand like what this race is going to look like.
Right.
But then now coming to these last weeks, we just did a 10-mile like hike run together, and that's what gave Bryce confidence that he could do it. And I just said, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 10 miles isn't any big deal to you guys in the ultra space, but like it felt good, and I didn't have any ankle pain. I got back and then woke up today and it wasn't painful to the touch. And so it feels, I mean, it's not fully recovered, but I don't think anyone doing what we're doing is ever fully recovered going into a race.
But I am really excited, because even if you get to like start it with me, because that was the whole process. You actually picked this.
I did.
As your race, and I'm just happy if you're able to even start it and get to maybe even Bumblebee or even like the first aid station. I just want us to enjoy a little piece of it together. And if you can get to the finish, honestly, okay, you get to the finish, I'm going to be mind blown.
Yeah, I don't know.
At this point, but
anyone that's sports betting on me to finish, it's probably 1,000,000 to 1 odds at this point, where I miss two months of training and then try to run almost twice the distance that I've ever ran. But I'm just going to checkpoint to checkpoint and try to stay hydrated, try to stay fed, try to listen to my body, and just see how far I can go. Because at the end of the day, whoever puts on the Black Canyon Ultra is willing to give you 50% of your money back at this point, up to 75% earlier toward another race that they put on. And I think just for the exposure and the experience, if I can run part of it, even if it's only half, even if it's only a quarter, we want to keep doing ultras, and we want to try to work our way up to 100 miles. So I think the experience, again, and going through like the nervousness energy in the morning and all the people and that sort of thing, it's just worth it for me versus trying to, I don't know, find another race within Arizona soon to use that money. So I'd rather attempt it.
Yeah, this whole thing for me is building confidence and putting my mind to something that I think is incredibly hard and seeing if I can do it. And so my mantra is I can, and if I can't, then I should just be happy that I had the willingness to try to even start or even put effort towards going towards the finish line. So that's where my mindset is with all of this. And we do know going into a race injured is really risky, but we also will know, like, okay, we should just stop and call it if we need to.
Yeah, and not trying to just grind through it, set ourselves back where we can't run a 100-miler ever because we have to get surgery, and then that puts us out for a year. and then the setbacks, right? Trying to minimize setbacks, really.
Yeah. So I think it will be an interesting race this time, and I really hope that you guys do come along for the journey. We will still document the race. Don't worry, I know we skipped 10 weeks of our training.
Yeah.
But we're still planning to document our race. And I think it's a good experience if we don't even finish to even document that, because there are a lot of people that don't finish these races.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's still good to see that perspective of that challenge of a race. Just to succeed isn't always just finishing the race. Sometimes to succeed is just to try the thing.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just keeping that in mind, and I'm still having faith that we're going to do really well, and we're just going to be one with ourselves in the desert and all the spiky things. But
Yeah.
it is looking like a really great race day for us.
Yes.
The weather is looking good, and if our crew comes all this way from the north, at least they will get some sunshine in the Arizona desert in the winter.
Anyone that's wondering about the river crossings this year, we ran it in 23. The rivers were very, very deep. There was a lot of rain. So when we were living here by Bumblebee, we just had like 10 days of rain at one point. And this year, it's the longest dry spell in recorded history. And so I would assume, we haven't actually looked at all the rivers, but I would assume that they're pretty shallow. So you shouldn't have to worry too much about getting your feet really wet this year.
But I have channeled all my nervous energy into making a 20-page crew guide, so I feel pretty well prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that we're going to be as ready as we can. We put all the hay in our barn that we could possibly do, and if there's not enough, then there's not enough.
Yeah, and you kind of don't know what's going to happen in my experience till race day.
Which kind of makes it thrilling a
Yeah.
little bit.
Like we've had some really roller coaster runs. Any of these endurance sports, with my experience anyway, it's like you can start off strong, get weak, get strong, get weak, get strong, and then pick up momentum and finish strong. And it is wild. And as it gets longer and longer, I'm sure that there's more and more of those pits and valleys, you know?
Yeah. And ultras aren't a walk in the park. If they were, everyone would do them. So with challenges, there has to be hardships. There has to be variables, there has to be ups and downs. If this was smooth and easy, then I don't think it would be as fun or as mentally stimulating and challenging as we want it to be. So this is just part of our journey, and we have to just accept the whole journey as it is. And I do want to say thank you again for everyone that supports us. And I know that some of you had races or are going to do this race, or have future races coming up very soon, and I just want to say you're going to do awesome, you're going to crush it, and already congratulations if you did it, and an early congratulations for you just signing up and putting your mind to it. You guys make us go the distance, and we just love your support through all of it, and we can't wait to share this whole experience with you, and hopefully maybe you learned something from our mistakes.
that is always the goal. All right, well, we'll see some of you guys on race day, and others we'll see when we put out the race video. It'll be quite exciting.
Woo, let's do this. We're going to do it.
All right, well, we'll leave you there. Thanks, everyone.